The station hung in orbit above Velurum Prime, like a crown of metal and glass. Inside its largest chamber, representatives from 40 different species gathered around a circular table that glowed with holographic displays. The air hummed with translation devices as voices from across the galaxy spoke in unison. Ambassador Thelkar stood at the center, his forearms gesturing to the images floating above the table. They showed a blue and green planet, beautiful once, now gray and lifeless. The continents were visible, but no light sparkled on the night side. No ships moved in orbit. Nothing lived there anymore. Sol 3 Thelkar announced. The species that lived there called it Earth. They went silent 847 cycles ago. Our scans confirm what we suspected. The planet is dead. The council members looked at the images with varying degrees of interest. Some species remembered hearing about Earth. Most did not care. Dead worlds were common in the galaxy. Species rose and fell like waves on an ocean. Earth was just another wave that had crashed and disappeared. Why bring this to our attention? Council leader Vren asked. His translator turned his grinding voice into smooth words. We have many dead worlds in our records. Stelkar's skin changed color, a sign of excitement in his species. Because honored council leader Earth should not be dead. Our records show they were close to achieving faster-than-light travel. They had split the atom, or perhaps 50 cycles away from joining the galactic community. Then, silence. Complete silence. An asteroid impact, someone suggested. It happens, perhaps Thelkar agreed. But the timing troubles me. A species on the verge of greatness, suddenly gone. I propose we mark Earth's system as restricted. No mining, no colonization, out of respect for what they might have become. The council voted. The motion passed with little discussion. Earth would remain untouched, a tomb for a species that almost made it to the stars. The meeting moved on to more important matters. Trade disputes, border conflicts, the price of fuel crystals. None of them noticed the small human ship watching from the edge of the system, its hull black as space itself. It's absorbing every word spoken in that chamber. Captain Doyen sat in his command chair, watching the council's broadcast with dark eyes. His ship, the Horizon's Edge, was not supposed to be here. He was supposed to be mapping asteroid fields near the outer colonies. Boring work that kept him far from Earth. But Doyen had never been good at following orders when those orders felt wrong. They think we're dead, Commander Jisoo said from her station. She was younger than Doyen, but her tactical mind was the sharpest he had ever worked with. They've always thought we were dead. 847 years of thinking. Engineer Minho added from the engine room, his voice crackling through the speakers. That's a long time to believe a lie, Doyen smiled. It was not a happy smile. Set course for Earth. I want to see home. Sir, that's a direct violation of Jisoo began. I know what it violates, Commander. Set the course at the Horizon's Edge. Turned away from the council station and jumped into faster-than-light travel. Space bent around the ship, and in the space between heartbeats, they crossed light years. When they emerged, Earth filled their forward screens. It looked dead. The oceans were gone, evaporated into space. The atmosphere was thin and poisonous. The continents were brown and gray, covered in dust and the ruins of ancient cities. No lights shone anywhere. No radio signals, no heat signatures. From orbit. Earth was exactly what the Galactic Council believed it to be. A corpse. Sensors show multiple objects in high orbit, Jisoo reported. Her fingers danced across her console. They're old satellites, probably debris from before the collapse. Wait. Her voice changed. Sir, those satellites just activated. They're targeting us. Red lights flashed across the bridge. Warning. Alarms started to sound. Duen felt his heart race, but he kept his voice calm. Steady. Don't move. Don't do anything that looks aggressive. Sir, we have 37 weapons locked onto us. These satellites shouldn't even have power anymore. They have power because someone is powering them, Doyen said. Someone who wants to know if we're a threat. For 10 seconds that felt like 10 hours, nothing happened. Then the targeting locks disappeared. A new signal reached their ship. It was old Earth standard communication protocol, the kind that hadn't been used in the galaxy for centuries. Horizon's Edge. This is Earth Defense, Station 7. Identify yourself and state your purpose. Jisu's hand shook slightly as she opened a channel. Earth Defense, this is the Horizon's Edge. We're human. We're coming home. Confirm identity. With authorization code Bravo-7-Whiskey-4-9-Delta. Doyen's eyes widened. That was a code from the old days, from before the silence. How did Earth Defense still have those codes? He pulled up his command terminal and entered the sequence his family had passed down through generations. Human family had codes like this, kept secret and sacred, just in case. Authorization confirmed. Welcome home, Horizon's Edge. You are cleared for landing at New Sol Spaceport.
Ow!
Transmitting coordinates now, and Captain, the voice paused. We've been waiting for you. All of you. The coordinates appeared on their navigation system. Jisu stared at them in confusion. Sir, these coordinates are in the Korean Peninsula, but they're underground. Then take Commander's underground. Then take us down, Commander. I want to see what we've been missing. The Horizon's Edge descended through Earth's thin atmosphere. The surface was as dead as it appeared from orbit. Ruined buildings reached toward the sky like broken fingers. Roads were buried under dust. Nothing moved except the wind. Then the ground opened. Massive doors, each one the size of a building, slid apart in the dust. Light poured out from below, warm and golden. The Horizon's Edge dropped through the opening into a shaft that went down, down into the Earth's crust. They emerged into something impossible. A city stretched out before them, vast and alive. Buildings rose to touch the cavern ceiling 3 kilometers above. Artificial sunlight bathed everything in a warm glow. Gardens hung from terraces. Water flowed in channels between the buildings. People walked in the streets, thousands of them. Millions of them, living their lives as if the world above hadn't died at all. How? Jisu whispered. How is this possible? Ships moved through the air between buildings. Trains ran on elevated tracks. Screens displayed news and entertainment. It was a complete civilization, thriving beneath the dead surface. The Horizon's Edge landed on a platform near the city center. As the crew disembarked, a woman approached them. She was perhaps 50 years old, with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. She wore the uniform of someone important, someone in command. Captain Doyon, she said. I am High Chancellor Subin. On behalf of the 5 billion humans living beneath Earth's surface, I welcome you home. She smiled. And I think we have a lot to explain. Doyon looked around at the impossible city, at the thriving civilization that the galaxy believed was extinct. He thought about the Galactic Council marking Earth as a tomb, never knowing that beneath the dead surface, humanity had been growing stronger, smarter, more dangerous. Yes, he said quietly. I think you do. High Chancellor Subin led them through the underground city. Captain Doyon and his crew followed, their eyes wide as they took in everything around them. The streets were clean and orderly. People smiled at them. Children played in parks under artificial sunlight that felt so real it was hard to believe they were kilometers beneath the dead surface. Your families have been notified of your arrival, Subin said as they walked. They'll meet you after the briefing. But first, you need to understand what you found. What we've built while the galaxy forgot about us. They entered a building near the city center. The elevator took them deep into the rock, past the city itself, into the command levels where the real work happened. The doors opened to reveal a control center that looked like something from a dream. Screens covered every wall, showing views of Earth's surface, orbital space, and beyond. Hundreds of people worked at stations, monitoring systems that Doyon didn't recognize. Welcome to Central Command, Subin said. From here we monitor everything. Every ship that passes through our system. Every transmission sent anywhere within 50 light years. Every movement the Galactic Council makes. You've been watching them, Jisu said slowly. All this time you've been watching? For 847 years, a new voice said. Man approached them, older than Subin, with the bearing of someone who spent his life with secrets. I am Director Hyen. I run Earth's intelligence service. He gestured to one of the large screens. It showed the Galactic Council chamber where they had been meeting just hours ago. We heard every word Ambassador Thelkar said about us today. Just like we heard every word spoken at every council meeting for the past 8 centuries. They believe we're dead because we wanted them to believe it. We've been listening to them while they forgot we existed. Doyon felt his legs go weak. You've been intercepting their communications. For 800 years. Longer, actually, Hyan said. We started before the asteroid hit. We saw it coming. When we knew it would strip our atmosphere and boil our oceans, we made a choice. We could try to evacuate, scatter to the stars, and beg other species to take us in. Or we could go underground, let them think we died, and use that time to become strong enough that no one could ever threaten us again. Subin touched a control panel. The screens changed, showing vast chambers carved into the rock beneath their feet. Manufacturing centers, shipyards, research facilities. We didn't just survive down here, Captain. We thrived. While the galaxy moved on without us, we learned everything they knew. We decoded their languages, studied their technology, analyzed their military tactics. Every species in the Galactic Council thinks their communications are secure. They're wrong. How many cities are there? Minho asked. How many people? 47 major cities across all continents, Subin replied. 5 billion people total. We've maintained a stable population using careful planning. Every person has a purpose. Every resource is managed perfectly. We've had 8 centuries to get it right. Jisoo moved closer to one of the screens. It showed something in orbit around the moon. What is that? That, Hyan said with pride in his voice, is Lunar Shipyard Alpha, one of 15 shipyards we've built throughout the solar system. We've been building ships, Captain. A lot of ships. The galaxy thinks Earth is defenseless. They have no idea what's waiting for them if they ever decide to come here with bad intentions. Doyen felt overwhelmed. He had known Earth survived, of course. His family had passed down stories, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. Why reveal yourselves now? Why send me to the council station to watch them discuss our grave? Because it's time, Subin said simply. We've learned everything we can from watching. Now we need to act. The galaxy is changing. New conflicts are brewing. The Krellian Dominion is expanding aggressively. The Velurum Empire is growing complacent. Smaller species are being bullied and exploited. If we want humanity to have a future among the stars, we can't hide forever. We need to know how they'll react, Hyan added. Your unauthorized trip to the council station gave us valuable intelligence. We saw which species seemed sympathetic to Earth's memory, which ones dismissed us entirely, which ones might become allies, and which ones will become problems. As if summoned by his words, alarms started blaring throughout the command center. A technician called out from his station. Director Hyan. We have incoming ships. Multiple FTL signatures emerging at the edge of our system. The screens changed, showing space around Earth. 30 ships appeared, each one massive and bristling with weapons. They were Krellian warships, easily identified by their aggressive design. They moved in formation, heading directly toward Earth. They didn't waste time, Hyan muttered. Subin, they're here to intimidate us. Then let's show them why that's a mistake, the Chancellor replied calmly. Commander Jisoo, how would you handle this situation? Jisoo was surprised to be asked. She studied the tactical display, counting the ships, analyzing their formation. They outnumber our visible defenses 10-1. But if what you say is true about hidden weapons platforms, we could disable them without destroying them. Send a message that we're strong, but not murderous? Exactly what I was thinking, Subin said. She turned to a communications officer. Activate defense grid. Authorization Subin Alpha 7. Target their weapons and engines only. I want them floating helpless, not dead. Yes, Chancellor. The room went quiet. On the screens, the Krellian fleet continued its approach. They were broadcasting now, demanding that Earth surrender any weapons and submit to Galactic Council inspection. Their tone was arrogant, threatening. Then Earth's hidden defenses activated. Satellites that had appeared to be ancient debris suddenly came alive. Weapons platforms hidden in asteroids revealed themselves. On the Moon and Mars, Massive railguns emerged from beneath the dust. All of them targeted the approaching fleet with perfect precision. The Krellian ships had 14 seconds to realize their mistake. Then Earth fired. Kinetic rounds moving at a fraction of light speed struck their engines. Energy beams sliced through their weapon systems. It was surgical, precise, and overwhelming. In less than 30 seconds, 30 warships became 30 pieces of floating junk. Their crews alive, but their ships completely disabled. "Get me a channel to their flagship," Subin ordered. A Krellian face appeared on the screen. He looked shocked, terrified. "What? What did you do?" "We defended ourselves, Fleet Admiral Sorin," Subin said calmly. "Your ships will not be harmed further. We will even provide power and life support until you can arrange a tow. But you came to Earth with weapons active and threats in your voice. That was unwise. Tell your council that humanity is not dead. Tell them we have returned and we will not be threatened in our own home." She cut the transmission. For a moment, the command center was silent. Then someone started clapping. Others joined in. Soon the entire room erupted in applause. Subin smiled, but Doyon could see the weight in her eyes. She had just declared to the galaxy that Earth was alive and armed. Director Hyan Subin said, "Prepare a message for the Galactic Council. It's time they heard from us directly." 2 hours later, every communication device in the galaxy received the same transmission. It came on all frequencies, in all languages, impossible to block or ignore. Subin appeared on screens across 1,000 worlds. "People of the galaxy," she began, "my name is High Chancellor Subin of Earth. For 847 years, you have believed humanity was extinct. You were wrong. We survived. We went underground when our world was devastated, and we used that time to grow, to learn, to become strong. We watched you. We listened to you. We know your languages, your cultures, your secrets. And now we are ready to return to the stars." She paused, letting her words sink in across the galaxy. "We come not as conquerors. We do not seek to dominate or destroy. But we will not be victims again. We will not be threatened. Any species that approaches Earth with hostile intent will discover what the Krellian Dominion just learned. Humanity remembers how to fight, and we fight to win. To those who wish for peace, friendship, and mutual prosperity, we offer our hand. To those who wish for war, we offer only this warning. We have had 800 years to prepare. Do not test us." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, billions of beings stared at their screens in shock. The dead world had spoken. The extinct species had returned. And from the tone of that message, the balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted in ways no one could predict. In Earth's command center, Doyon watched as response messages started flooding in. Some species sent congratulations. Others sent threats. Many sent nothing, still processing the impossible news. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. Subin looked at him with tired eyes. "Now, Captain, we find out if the galaxy will accept us as equals, or if we'll have to force them to." The Galactic Council chamber erupted into chaos. Representatives from 40 species shouted at each other, their translation devices struggling to keep up with the noise. Some were angry, some were frightened. All of them were shocked. Ambassador Thelkar stood at his position, skin cycling through colors that showed his confusion. "This is impossible. We scanned that planet thoroughly. There was no life. No energy signatures. Nothing." "Clearly your scans missed something," Council Leader Vren said dryly. He was one of the few who remained calm. "The question is not how we missed them. The question is what we do now." Fleet Admiral Sorin of the Krellian Dominion slammed his fist on the table. His fleet was still floating helplessly in Earth's orbit, a humiliation that burned in his chest. "What we do is mobilize every ship we have and show these primitives their place. They disabled 30 of our warships in seconds. That cannot stand." "You fool," hissed Ambassador Rel of the Tyrillian Republic. "They disabled your ships without killing anyone. Don't you understand what that means? They could have destroyed you all. They chose mercy. That's not primitive behavior. That's restraint from a position of power. The debate raged for hours. Finally, Vren called for order. We will send a formal delegation to Earth. We will offer them a chance to present their case for council membership. But we do this cautiously. Until we understand their true capabilities, we treat them as we would any emerging power. Emerging? Soren laughed bitterly. They've been watching us for 800 years. They know everything about us. We know nothing about them. That's not emerging. That's already emerged, and just waiting for the right moment to strike. Ren studied the Krellian admiral carefully. Is that what troubles you, Soren? That for once in your military career, you face an opponent you don't understand? The vote is called. All in favor of sending a delegation to Earth? The vote passed, but barely. Half the council voted against it, preferring to quarantine Earth's system and deal with humanity as a threat. The other half won by only 3 votes. As the council adjourned, smaller groups formed in the hallways. Species began choosing sides. Would they welcome humanity or oppose them? Would they seek alliance or conflict? The galaxy was dividing, and Earth hadn't even sent a representative yet. On Earth, High Chancellor Subine sat in her office deep beneath New Sol. She had not slept in 2 days. The responses to her broadcast continued to arrive, each one requiring analysis and consideration. Director Hayen stood near the window that showed a false view of the city above. The council voted to send a delegation, Hayen reported, but it was close. Very close. Half of them want to treat us as a threat. They should treat us as a threat, Subin said. We are one. But we're also an opportunity. We need to send someone who can make them see that. She looked up at him. I want to send Ambassador Tai Yung. He's young, but he understands both human culture and what we've learned about the galaxy. He can walk the line between strength and diplomacy. The council won't expect someone so young, Hayen agreed. That could work in our favor. They'll underestimate him. Everyone underestimates us, Subin said with a slight smile. That's been our greatest advantage. But not everyone was content to wait for diplomacy. In the Krellian Dominion's military headquarters, Fleet Admiral Soren met with a small group of his most trusted officers. They spoke in whispers in rooms that were supposedly secure from surveillance. Cannot let this insult stand, Soren said. Earth has made fools of us in front of the entire galaxy. We must respond. Commander Xyloth, leader of the Dominion's Special Operations Forces, leaned forward. Direct military action will be seen as aggression? The Council will condemn us. But there are other ways to act. Earth's defenses are strong, but they cannot be everywhere at once. If their orbital defense grid were to fail, they would be vulnerable. What are you suggesting? Soren asked. Let me take a team to Earth. We infiltrate their defense stations, plant charges, and retreat before they know we were there. When their grid collapses, the galaxy will see they are not as strong as they claim, and the Council will have no proof the Dominion was involved. Soren considered this. It was risky. If they were caught, the consequences would be severe. But if they succeeded, Earth would lose its primary advantage, and the Dominion could move against them with the Council's blessing.
Do it, he said finally.
But if you are caught, I will deny all knowledge of this operation. You will be on your own, Xyloth smiled. Understood, Admiral. We won't be caught. 3 days later, a small Krellian ship approached Earth's orbital space. It broadcast peaceful intentions, claiming to be a merchant vessel requesting permission to dock for repairs. Earth's defense grid scanned it thoroughly, but found nothing alarming. The ship was allowed to approach one of the smaller orbital stations. What the scans did not detect were the 6 Special Forces operatives hidden in shielded compartments, their life signs masked by technology that the Dominion had paid dearly for. As the ship docked, they moved quickly and quietly, infiltrating the station through maintenance. Corridors that their intelligence said were rarely monitored. They were wrong. Earth's intelligence service had been monitoring Krellian communications with the same efficiency they monitored everyone else. They had seen the encrypted messages. They had decoded them. They knew about the operation before it even launched. Agent Jiwan waited in the station's central control room with her team. She was young, barely 30, but she had trained her entire life for moments like this. Every human child learned combat, strategy, and survival skills. Earth had spent 8 centuries preparing its people for the day they would emerge into a dangerous galaxy. There in Corridor 7, her second-in-command man whispered, "Moving toward the power core just like we predicted." "Let him get close," Jiwan said calmly. "I want them to think they're succeeding. Then we take them alive." The Krellian operatives moved through the station like ghosts. Their training was excellent. Their equipment was top grade. They were among the best soldiers the Dominion had ever produced. They reached the power core without encountering any resistance. "Too easy," Xyloth muttered to his team. "Stay alert." They began planting the antimatter charges that would collapse the station's power grid and cascade through the entire defense network. Just a few more seconds, and they would be done. Then they could retreat and watch Earth's vaunted defenses crumble. The lights went out in the darkness. They heard movement. Fast, precise, deadly. Before any of them could react, stun weapons fired. The Krellians fell, their nervous systems overwhelmed by carefully calibrated electrical pulses. When the lights came back on, they were on the floor, surrounded by human soldiers who looked at them with expressions that mixed contempt with pity. Jiwan knelt next to Xyloth. "Commander Xyloth, of the Krellian Dominion Special Operations. We've been expecting you. We knew about your mission before you left your home world. We read your orders. We tracked your ship. And now we have you." Xyloth's mind raced. This was impossible. Their communications were encrypted with military-grade security. "You're bluffing, am I?" Jiwan pulled out a small device and played an audio recording. It was Xyloth's own voice, speaking to Fleet Admiral Soren, discussing the operation in detail. "We have everything, Commander. Every transmission, every order, every contingency plan. Earth has been listening to the Krellian Dominion for 800 years. Did you really think we wouldn't notice when you planned to attack us?" The captured Krellians were brought before High Chancellor Subin. She looked at them with disappointment rather than anger. "You came to sabotage our defenses and make us appear weak. Instead, you've proven exactly why we remained hidden for so long. The galaxy is full of species who respond to new ideas with violence. The Dominion will deny all involvement," Xyloth said defiantly. "No, they will," Subin agreed. "That's why we're sending you back with a gift." She activated a holographic display. It showed the moon, Mars, and the asteroid belt. But these weren't tourist views. These were military installations. Massive shipyards, construction facilities, and ships. Thousands upon thousands of ships, each one bearing designs that looked nothing like any vessel currently flying in the galaxy. "We didn't just build defense satellites, Commander," Subin said quietly. "We built a fleet. Actually, we built several fleets. While your Dominion was conquering 36 star systems, we were preparing for the day we would need to defend ourselves against species like yours. Show this to Fleet Admiral Soren. Show it to your Emperor. And tell them that if the Krellian Dominion attacks Earth again, we will not be so merciful." The Krellians were released. Their ship was allowed to leave with all its crew alive and unharmed. But the recording Subin gave them was played in Dominion headquarters within hours. The military leadership gathered to watch it in silence. "This changes everything," someone whispered. Fleet Admiral Soren stared at the images of humanity's secret fleet. Thousands of warships, technology they didn't recognize. A productive capacity that rivaled the Dominion's own. He had pushed for aggression, confident that Earth was a minor threat. Now he realized the truth. "Send orders to all our fleets," he said quietly. "No hostile action against Earth. Not yet. We need time to understand what we're facing." But Subin wasn't done making her point. She called Captain Doyon to her office. "The galaxy needs a demonstration. They need to see that we're not bluffing about our capabilities. I'm giving you command of the First Fleet, 200 ships. You're going to take them beyond our solar system for the first time?" Doyon felt his heart race. "Where are we going?" "Everywhere," Subin said with a cold smile. You're going to visit 50 different Krellian worlds. Not to attack. Just to appear in their orbit for exactly 1 hour, then leave. Show them that we know where they live. Show them that we can reach them anytime we want. Make them understand that Earth is not a target. Earth is a power. Captain Doyun stood on the bridge of the Phoenix Dawn, humanity's first true warship to leave the solar system. Around him in space, 199 other ships held formation with perfect precision. They were beautiful vessels, sleek and deadly, built from 8 centuries of stolen knowledge and human innovation. All ships report ready, Commander Jisoo said from her station. She had transferred from the horizon's edge to serve as Doyun's second-in-command. Targets are locked. We can jump on your order. Doyun took a breath. They were about to announce humanity's presence in a way that could not be ignored. 50 Krellian worlds would see Earth ships in their skies. The galaxy would understand that the sleeping giant had not just awakened but was ready to act. All ships, execute jump. Let's remind the Dominion why fear is sometimes wisdom. Space bent around the human fleet. They disappeared from Earth's orbit and emerged simultaneously above 50 different planets across Krellian space. Each world looked up to find 4 human warships hanging in their orbit, silent and still. Their weapons systems clearly visible, but not active. On the Krellian homeworld, alarms screamed through military headquarters. Fleet Admiral Soren ran to the command center, where panicked officers shouted over each other. For ships in our orbit. They just appeared. More reports coming in. They're everywhere. 50 colonies are reporting the same thing. How did they get past our defenses? Soren felt cold fear run down his spine. This was coordination on a scale he had never seen. To jump 200 ships simultaneously to 50 different locations, arriving within seconds of each other, required technology and precision that the Dominion could not match. He opened a channel to the human ships above his world. A young human face appeared on his screen. Captain Doyen looked at him calmly. Fleet Admiral Soren, we are not here to attack. We are here to deliver a message. Earth knows where every Krellian world is located. We can reach them whenever we choose. If the Dominion continues to act with hostility toward humanity, we will not be so patient next time. You have 1 hour to consider this. Then we leave. The channel closed. For 60 minutes, the human ships remained in orbit above 50 Krellian worlds. Billions of Krellian citizens looked up at the sky and saw humanity's power. Their military, so proud and aggressive, could do nothing but watch. Any attempt to engage would start a war they now realized they might not win. When the hour ended, and the human ships vanished as suddenly as they had appeared, they jumped back to Earth, leaving the Krellian Dominion in chaos. Within hours, the Dominion's High Council convened an emergency session. The debate was fierce. We must respond with overwhelming force, one general demanded. With what? Another shouted back. They appeared in 50 places at once. Our best projections suggest they have thousands of ships, maybe tens of thousands, and their technology is clearly superior to ours. Fleet Admiral Soren stood and spoke quietly. I recommend we sue for peace. Immediately. The room went silent. Soren, the most aggressive military leader the Dominion had produced in a century, was suggesting surrender. No one could quite believe it. We are not surrendering, he continued. We are recognizing reality. Earth is stronger than we are. Their intelligence network is better than ours. Their technology is more advanced. Every assumption we made about them was wrong. Continuing hostilities will only lead to our destruction. I propose we offer a treaty. Non-aggression, mutual recognition, trade agreements. Anything that keeps them from deciding we are a threat that needs to be eliminated, the High Council voted. The motion passed. The Krellian Dominion, for the first time in its history, would ask another species for peace from a position of weakness. But while the Dominion retreated, another power watched with growing concern. The Valorum Empire, oldest and most powerful civilization in the galaxy, had observed Earth's display with alarm. Emperor Caltheron sat on his throne of crystal and reviewed the intelligence reports with his advisors. They humiliated the Krellian Dominion, one advisor said. Made them look like children. The Dominion deserved humiliation, another replied. They were arrogant and foolish. Earth simply taught them a lesson. A lesson that cost us nothing, a third added. Perhaps Earth will be useful. A new power to balance the Dominion's expansion. Emperor Caltheron shook his head slowly. You are all missing the point. Earth has been watching us for 800 years. They know our weaknesses. They know our military capabilities. They know our political divisions. And they have been building strength while we believed them dead. This is not a new power rising. This is a power that has been growing in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to emerge. That makes them more dangerous than the Dominion ever was. What do you suggest, Emperor? Caltheron stood from his throne. I suggest we remind the galaxy why the Valorum Empire has ruled for 10,000 years. We cannot allow Earth to upset the balance of power. We must act decisively. Activate the Dreadnought fleet. His advisors gasped. The Dreadnoughts were ancient vessels, built during the last Galactic War thousands of years ago. Each one was the size of a small city, powerful enough to destroy entire fleets. They had been in storage for millennia, maintained but never used. Symbols of the Empire's ultimate power. The Council will see this as an act of war, someone warned. The Council will see it as what it is, Caltheron replied. A reminder that the Valorum Empire tolerates no threats to galactic stability. Earth will submit to our authority, or they will be destroyed. There is no third option. On Earth, in the underground city of New Sol, alarms sounded through the command center. Director Hyene rushed to High Chancellor Sebin's office with urgent news. The Valorum Empire is mobilizing their dreadnought fleet. 12 ships. They're heading for our solar system. Subin felt her stomach tighten. The dreadnoughts were legendary. Each one could destroy a planet. Against 12 of them, even Earth's defenses might not be enough. How long until they arrive? 6 days at their current speed, then we have 6 days to prepare. Get me Chief Scientist Yunji. If we're going to survive this, we'll need every advantage we can get. Chief Scientist Yunji had spent her entire life working on humanity's secret projects. She was 70 years old, but her mind was still sharp as broken glass. She arrived at the command center within an hour and listened to Sebin's summary of the situation. The dreadnoughts are powerful, Yunji agreed, but they are also old. They rely on technology from thousands of years ago. We have something they don't have. What? Subin asked. Adaptive AI combat systems. We've been developing them for decades. Ships that learn from every engagement, that adapt their tactics in real time based on what the enemy does. The dreadnoughts are strong, but they are static, predictable. Our ships can evolve during the battle. How many ships with this system do we have? Not as many as I'd like, Yunji admitted. 300, maybe 400, that are ready for combat. Against 12 dreadnoughts, each one capable of destroying dozens of our ships. Subin closed her eyes. The math doesn't look good. Numbers aren't everything, Yunji said. Intelligence and adaptability matter more. We've been preparing for 800 years, Chancellor. Trust in that preparation. 6 days later, the Valorum dreadnought fleet emerged at the edge of Earth's solar system. They were massive beyond belief, each one bristling with weapons that had destroyed civilizations. They moved slowly, but inevitably, toward Earth, broadcasting their message on all frequencies. Earth will surrender all military assets to Valorum authority. You have 1 hour to comply. Failure to surrender will result in the complete destruction of your planet. The Valorum Empire has spoken. In Earth's orbit, humanity's defense fleet gathered. Admiral Kyung-ho commanded from his flagship, a massive carrier that served as the fleet's nerve center. He had trained his entire life for combat, studying every battle in galactic history. Now, he would face the most legendary warships ever built. All ships report ready, his tactical officer reported. 347 vessels in formation. Adaptive combat AI systems are active and learning. Kyung-ho studied the approaching dreadnoughts on his display. They were terrifying. But terror was just another emotion to be controlled and used. They expect us to be afraid. They expect us to surrender. Let's show them what happens when you underestimate humanity. All ships engage at will. The Battle of Titan began. Earth's ships moved with coordination that looked like choreography. Their adaptive AI systems sharing information instantaneously. The dreadnoughts opened fire with weapons that tore through space itself. Human ships died, dozens of them in the first minutes. But the survivors learned. The AI adapted. They analyzed how the dreadnoughts fired, found patterns in their targeting systems, discovered weaknesses in their ancient designs. Each human ship that died transmitted its final data to the fleet, teaching the others how to survive. The battle lasted 72 hours. It raged through Saturn's orbit, around Titan's moon, through the asteroid belt. The dreadnoughts were powerful, but they fought like they always fought, using tactics from wars thousands of years old. Humanity's ships evolved with every passing hour, adapting, improving, learning. On the third day of battle, the last Velurum dreadnought fell silent. Its weapons were destroyed. Its engines were dead. It drifted through space like a monument to arrogance. Surrounded by the wreckage of its sister ships and the remains of 112 human vessels that had died to stop them, Admiral Kyung-ho sat in his command chair, exhausted beyond anything he had ever felt. His fleet had won, but the cost had been terrible. Good people had died. Ships that took decades to build were now debris floating in Saturn's rings. But Earth still lived. Humanity still survived. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the lead dreadnought," his communications officer said. "It's Emperor Caltherin himself." The Emperor's face appeared on the screen. He looked old, tired, and for the first time in his long life, defeated. "Admiral Kyung-ho of Earth, I surrender. My fleet is destroyed. My empire's pride is broken. I ask only that you spare my surviving crews." Kyung-ho thought about the people who had died fighting these ancient ships. He thought about refusing. It's about destroying the dreadnoughts completely and sending a message to the galaxy written in Velurum blood. But then he thought about what High Chancellor Subin had said before the battle. Humanity's goal was not revenge. It was respect, Emperor Caltheron. Your crews will be spared. We will provide medical assistance and transportation back to Velurum space. But understand this. Earth has defeated the most powerful force the galaxy has ever known. We did not seek this war. You brought it to us. Remember that the next time you consider whether humanity deserves a voice in galactic affairs. The transmission ended. Kyung-ho's fleet began rescue operations, pulling Velurum survivors from their crippled ships. Medical teams worked around the clock. Engineers stabilized the wrecks so they wouldn't explode. Earth showed mercy to the Empire that had come to destroy them. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. The Velurum Empire, which had ruled unchallenged for 10,000 years, had been defeated. Not just defeated, but humiliated. 12 dreadnoughts sent to crush a single species, and all 12 destroyed or disabled. And Earth had shown mercy to their attackers, which somehow made the defeat even more profound. In council chambers across the galaxy, emergency sessions were called. Some species rejoiced. The Velurum Empire had been bullies for millennia, using their ancient power to control trade routes and dictate policy. Others were terrified. If Earth could defeat the Empire, what else could they do? Council leader Vren called for a full session of the Galactic Council. For the first time in recorded history, every single species sent their highest-ranking representative. The chamber was full. The gallery was packed with observers. This would be a historic day, and everyone knew it. Ambassador Tae-young entered the chamber wearing simple clothes that marked him as human but carried no other decoration. He was young, barely 40, but he walked with confidence that came from representing a species that had just changed the galaxy forever. He took his place at a podium designed for petitioners, species that were asking to be heard but had no official standing. "Honored Council," he began. "I am Ambassador Tae-young of Earth. I stand before you today not to ask for membership in this body, but to discuss the future of the galaxy." "Future is not yours to discuss," Ambassador Thelkar interrupted. You are petitioners. You have no authority here. Taeyong smiled slightly. We have the authority of strength, Ambassador. We have the authority of having defeated the galaxy's greatest military power. But more importantly, we have the authority of 800 years of observation. We have watched this council. We have seen how it operates. And with respect, we have seen its failures. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Council leader Vren called for order. You dare criticize this council? I dare speak truth, Taeyong replied calmly. This council is dominated by military powers who use their strength to control smaller species. Trade routes are assigned based on which species has the biggest fleet, not which species needs them most. Resources are distributed based on political influence, not on justice or fairness. And species like the Tyrillian Republic, the Osiran Collective, and dozens of others have no real voice because they lack the warships to demand one, and you think Earth should have a voice? Emperor Keltherin asked. He had come to the council in person, his first appearance since the battle. You think defeating my fleet gives you the right to lecture us? Taeyong turned to face the Emperor directly. I think 800 years of patience gives us that right. We could have emerged from hiding at any time with the weapons we built. We could have conquered. We could have taken revenge on a galaxy that marked our grave without caring if we truly died. But we waited. We learned. We prepared not for conquest, but for survival. And now we offer the galaxy a choice. What choice? Council leader Vren asked. Reform this council, Taeyong said simply. Make it a body that serves all species, not just the strongest. Give smaller species real representation. Share technology and resources based on need, not power. Create a galaxy where strength is respected, but does not dominate. Or continue as you have been, and watch as species like Earth, who see your flaws clearly, decide they are better off alone. You threaten us? Soren asked. No fleet, Admiral. I offer you an opportunity. Earth has the military power to take what we want. But we want something better than what force can achieve. We want a galaxy where our children can explore without fear, where our traders can do business without paying bribes to whichever species controls the local space, where our scientists can share discoveries with alien colleagues instead of hoarding secrets. That galaxy doesn't exist yet, but it could. For a long moment, the chamber was silent. Then, surprisingly, Emperor Keltherin stood. The ambassador speaks harsh truths. My empire has ruled for 10,000 years. We grew comfortable with power. We believed our ancient glory made us invincible. Earth proved us wrong. Perhaps they are right about other things as well. He turned to address the full council. I propose we hear Ambassador Taeyong's suggestions for reform. The Valorum Empire has learned humility. Perhaps it is time the rest of us learned wisdom. The session continued for 3 days. Species that had been enemies for centuries found common ground. Smaller civilizations spoke up for the first time in generations, their voices no longer drowned out by military powers. Trade agreements were renegotiated. Resource distributions were revised. And slowly, painfully, a new structure began to take shape. On the final day, Council Leader Vren called for a vote. The proposal is as follows. The Galactic Council will be reformed with 3 tiers of membership. The first tier consists of 5 permanent security members, species with proven military strength who can respond to galactic threats. The second tier consists of elected representatives from different regions, rotating every 10 cycles. The third tier consists of a General Assembly, where every species has a voice. Earth is nominated for one of the 5 permanent security member positions. All in favor? The vote was not unanimous. Some species still distrusted humanity. Others resented their sudden rise to power. But the majority voted yes. Earth would have a permanent voice in galactic affairs. But the surprises were not done. Director Hyen appeared on screens throughout the chamber, broadcasting from Earth. Honored Council, before you finalize this vote, there is something you should know. Something we have discovered about Earth's past. He displayed documents, images, and records that went back 847 years. The asteroid that nearly destroyed Earth was not natural. It was a weapon. We found evidence in our archives and confirmed it through our intelligence network. The asteroid was redirected toward Earth by a faction within the Valorum Empire. They saw humanity's potential and decided to eliminate us before we could reach the stars. The chamber exploded in shock. Emperor Caltheron's face went pale. This is impossible. My ancestors would never, not your ancestors directly, Emperor, but members of the old noble houses acting without imperial authority. They believed they were protecting the empire from a future threat. Instead, they created one. They made us go underground. They gave us 8 centuries to prepare. They turned us from a peaceful species into one that knows how to fight because we had to learn to survive. Taeyong stepped forward. Earth does not seek revenge for this crime. Most of those responsible are long dead. But we do seek justice. We ask that the Council establish a law. No species may ever again attempt to destroy another species simply because they fear their potential. The galaxy must be a place where emerging civilizations are welcomed, not eliminated. Emperor Caltheron stood slowly. I will allow Earth to prosecute any surviving conspirators, and I will support this law. My empire has learned that trying to stop the future only makes it arrive faster and angrier. The law passed unanimously. The Galactic Genocide Prevention Act would become one of the Council's most important pieces of legislation, protecting countless species in the centuries to come. Weeks later, High Chancellor Subane stood in Earth's command center, watching as the first terraforming vessels launched toward Mars. The red planet would be green again within a generation. Venus would follow. Earth's solar system would become a cradle of human civilization. With billions living across multiple worlds, Captain Doyon entered the command center. Chancellor, the Horizon's Edge is ready for its next mission. We have requests from 17 different species asking for human explorers to help them chart new territories. Choose the most interesting one, Subin said with a smile. We've been hiding for 800 years. It's time we saw what else is out there. What about the Council? The politics. Ambassador Taeyong will handle that. He's better at talking than I ever was. Subin looked at the display showing Earth's surface, where robots were beginning the slow process of atmospheric restoration. We'll rebuild our surface eventually. But the underground cities will always be here, a reminder of where we came from, of what we survived and what we became, Doyon added. Yes, we became survivors. We became watchers. And now we become explorers again. But this time, we explore from a position of strength. No one will ever threaten Earth again. Months later, the Horizon's Edge engaged its faster-than-light drive and disappeared into the depths of unexplored space. Captain Duan stood on the bridge with Commander Jisoo beside him. Behind them, Engineer Minho kept the engines running smoothly. They were heading toward a region of the galaxy no one had ever mapped, looking for Ni. Worlds, new species, new wonders. They thought we were dead, Jisoo said quietly, looking at the stars streaming past. Doyen smiled. We were just sleeping. And now the galaxy will learn what happens when you wake a sleeping giant. They'll learn that humanity doesn't conquer. Humanity doesn't dominate, but humanity survives. Humanity adapts, and humanity never ever gives up. The ship jumped into the unknown. Behind them, Earth's lights finally began to shine on the surface again, visible from space for the first time in 8 centuries. The dead world had returned to life. The extinct species had proven they could not be killed, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had returned to the stars, and this time, they were here to stay.